I heard about the bubble, I was just amazed. I just never heard of anything like this.
If you drive a boat, nobody cares. Bubble, nobody did before.
Like a hamster inside a wheel, the world-class athlete planned to walk on water more than 1,000 miles from Miami to Bermuda.
No one person is going to overcome the ocean. There was only going to be a bad outcome. This is by far the most bizarre case that I was involved with.
So there's no motors. He runs in that thing and powers it from
here to Bermuda.
Bermuda. With the Bermuda Triangle and all these vessels disappearing over the years, they thought it was a suicide mission.
I really didn't know if he was going to come home alive or not. They were saying how it cost taxpayer money and the crazy Florida man. I mean, we can't help what people think.
Sir, we know how this is going to end.
You follow your dream. Dream no coming after you. You must follow your dream. My name is Reza Baluchi. I live in Boca Raton in Florida. I am inventor. I am an athlete. They say me Captain Bubble. They say Bubble Boy too. I say I going to Bermuda. Inside the bubble, they laughing. My storage bag for water, drink, eating. This thing nobody did. People say, oh, you go Bermuda, every boat go lost, airplane go lost, everything go lost. I say, I want to see what's going on.
I tried to talk him out of it for quite a while because obviously it's extremely dangerous. I really didn't know if he was going to come home alive or not.
One of our sectors, Sector Miami, got a call from a concerned boater that there was a man in a bubble that was lost and was asking for directions to Bermuda. It became really obvious really fast that he wasn't a sailor, didn't know the ocean, was unequipped to do what he was attempting to do.
I say, why they come close to me? I think you pirate. I say, pirate with bubble. Then come and say, come out. I say, no, I don't want coming out.
We wound up staying with him in the bubble for at least a full day as we tried to hash through what our authorities were. At that point, we let the patrol boat depart the scene. And then a day or two later, a cold front knocked the bubble on his side, so he set off what's called a spot device. He was in need of assistance, and we went out and rescued him. Captain of the port of Miami gave him basically a cease and desist order that you're not to get underway in your bubble. If you do, you'll be in violation of Coast Guard regulations. And that seemed to stop him for a while until he was discovered playing a voyage, had rebuilt the bubble, and no amount of reasoning or common sense was going to change his mind.
So I didn't have a key, open my storage. I almost caught them. A lot of stuff for my trip is here. Inside air, keep it floating. No more basketball. Yeah, shark bite my ball. It's strong flashlight. This thing I hold in, you catch fish, hit his head, and then get coma. This thing is and my energy bar, I make it. This thing is my food. Good. My mind is all the time great idea. I design a lot of stuff. In Iran, I work in mechanic shop. I like fix everything. You know, this America is good. You can chase your dream.
This is one of the first prototypes, eh? Yeah. We are in North Palm Beach, Florida, in the Intracoastal, and this is where Reza stored the bubble for a year while we were trying to get the Coast Guard situation kind of sorted out and decide on when the weather was good for him to run to Bermuda again. And he had waited for so long to go on his mission, so he had reached a point where he was just frustrated, and he said to me, George, I want to go. It's time for me to go.
Reza's been running since he was about 7 years old. He grew up in northern Iran on a rice farm. He was required at a very young age to run to school, run back. It was a very rough life there. And he struggled with following the traditional law of Iran. So on Ramadan, he got caught eating and he was publicly beaten. He had to leave. He was running from abuse, so he left and then he came to the United States after that. Running across the country, raising money for charities.
Reza Baluchi is spreading peace by running cross-country.
He's running in the name of peace after being jailed in his native country, Iran, for political and religious violations.
He is driven by a lot of different forces, and he has the capability of doing these things, running across the country or, running into Bermuda on a hydropod.
It was actually sad watching the bubble leave with Reza because I didn't know, if I'm gonna see him again. I said, Reza, what if there's a hurricane? He says, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna go in the bubble, I'll zip it up, and wherever the hurricane takes me, I'll go.
It was difficult, letting go and I care about him and pushing him out into the ocean. Good luck. I hope you make it, It's crazy.
What we could see with his Facebook posts, he was doing this as part of a charity event that he wanted school children to be able to track him and make donations. He was putting himself at the whim of Mother Nature and the ocean, and you're just not going to win. Temperatures inside the bubble could get up to 120 degrees. Running in a bubble, sleeping at night, he's going to wind up getting pushed off towards England or in one of the eddies that swirl around in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean forever. You've got a better chance of winning the Powerball lottery than you do of starting in Florida and trying to run to Bermuda. We referred to it as the hamster wheel of doom.
5 days after Reza set sail, I don't hear from him and I had no communication. I thought the bubble and him were gone. I thought he was in the bottom of the ocean and that's it.
I was watching the line move up on the GPS tracker, and then all of a sudden I saw it turn to the right, and I knew something was up.
The final time we were called in by a concerned mariner, the patrol boat came up to the bubble.
Morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm very great.
Good. Hey, sir. Your voyage has been terminated by the U.S. Coast Guard. It's manifestly unsafe.
Make me crazy. I've been 5 years do this thing there, stop me every time they save my life. I don't need it. Save my life. I don't need it.
We tried to have a conversation with him, tried to get him to embark the boat.
I have a 5-6 light. I have 2 life jackets. I have 2 GPS. I have a laptop, watch movie.
Based on the captain of the port order
This is unsafe for you.
and his physical condition, we determined it was unsafe for him to continue.
Sir, we know how this is going to end.
So we removed him from the bubble and sank the bubble as a hazard of navigation.
The shot, they sink my bubble. No more bubble I have.
They just shot it down into the ocean, and he had all his backpack supplies, GPS tracker, a lot of the things that he had been working on.
That was like over $120,000 of his life that he had put into that bubble. And it all just got stolen in 30 minutes in the middle of the ocean.
The Coast Guard response cost the taxpayers approximately $144,000. The fact that he was putting himself at risk, the people that were going to have to respond to his attempt, just shows very poor judgment.
Him being from Iran and not knowing really what he went through, and that he was imprisoned and he was tortured in jail, and him being that free thinker is what put him in jail. And thank God Reza came to America. But yeah, he always thought, okay, I'm free to do whatever I want. And he never expected that they would not let him do what he wants to do. This is the land of the free, that's why he came here. Running is just Reza. Reza runs. He is exactly like Forrest Gump. People didn't understand Forrest Gump. People don't understand Reza. But look at Forrest Gump. Everybody loved that movie. And I think Reza will get to do his bubble dream.
I love America. You have a dream, you can chase in your dream, you can get your dream. If people have a mission, people have a dream, don't listen to anybody. You do what you want. for you change your life, change other people's life. They can making the impossible the possible.
I don't think this is the last that we've heard of Reza, but I hope this is the last that we've heard of Reza trying to go somewhere in a bubble on the water.